Hello and welcome back, baseball fans, to This Week in Baseball. I think this is episode 14. I already forgot, but it's an episode. And we have some familiar faces back on this week. We have Joseph, Jennie, Tavi here today. How are y'all doing today?
Super hot in California.
That is unfortunate.
It's getting better, but we've been roasting for the past 2 weeks.
That's tough. That's not – yeah, because I know I haven't lived in California for years, but I can't say I missed the weather. So –
Oh, I miss the weather, and I live here, so, you know.
Fair.
Not what it used to be.
That's also true. Anyway, but enough about weather. We have baseball to talk about. And so, yeah, as always, as we will talk about, we'll go over the standings. We'll jump into our 7th inning stretch, and that's what the show is. So we'll just get right into it. So, the divisional standings, and we'll do wildcard standings as well. As of the recording of this episode, we have the Dodgers in first place in the National League West. What's new? We have the New York Mets leading the East by 1.5 games over the Atlanta Braves. We have the St. Louis Cardinals leading the NL Central by 8 games. And then the wildcard race in the National League, you have Atlanta, Philadelphia, and San Diego as your 1, 2, 3 seeds in the wild card, with Milwaukee 2 games back of San Diego for that third wild card spot. And Atlanta's kind of comfortably in first. They're 10.5 games up on the wild card. But Philly and San Diego are within 2 games of each other. So the second wild card and the 4th spot are within 4 games. So it's really coming down to the wire for those last couple of spots, what it looks like. So we'll talk about that a little bit later here. But should be a fun, exciting finish. And then over in the American League, in the AL East, you have the New York Yankees, whose divisional lead has shrunk to 5.5 games over the Tampa Bay Rays. Toronto is also just 6 games back of New York, the Toronto Blue Jays. The American League Central, you have the Cleveland Guardians, 2.5 games up on the Chicago White Sox, which no one had at the beginning of the season picked out. And then you have out west, you have the Houston Astros, 11 games up on the the Mariners. But luckily for the Mariners, they are looking good for a wild card spot as they're in the second seed for the wild card. I guess they're tied for first with Tampa. They're both right there up on Toronto, who has the third wild card spot, and then 5.5 back of that last spot. That third spot is the Baltimore Orioles, who are still the most fun team in baseball, or one of them. One of the biggest surprises thus far.
The most likable team in baseball right now.
That's true, yeah. If it's not them, it's certainly the Mariners, I'd say. But those are 2 of the most likable teams in baseball.
I'm just excited because the Padres and the Mariners are playing each other this week, I believe. And those teams are in very similar positions of must win to maintain. It's a 2-game series. Both teams can split the series. That's about all they can do. But both teams need those wins to stay in the position that they're in. So they're also both very flashy teams. Like there's a lot of in a good way. I think they're fun and exciting. But there's a lot of attitude there, and they don't see each other very often. So it'll be really interesting to see if tempers flare or if game respect game. You never know. So it'll be, I think that series is probably the most interesting interleague series that has come up this season because both of those games really matter to both of those teams.
Yeah, in a position for sure where it really matters, and both teams are good. Just they're flat out good baseball teams. So
a lot of former Padres on the Mariners too.
Wait, sorry?
A lot of former I think I have that backwards. A lot of former Padres on the Mariners.
Yes.
Andres Munoz.
Ty France.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor Trammell.
There's a lot of former Mariners everywhere in baseball with Dipoto trading anyone at any time. So, but yeah, it's should be really, really good, really, really fun. I just I just really like Seattle, like straight up. I love watching the Mariners because it seems like just about every game, they have some sort of like big, like, clippable moment that happens. Like, was it yesterday with coming back from two down, or they were one down going into the bottom of the ninth, and then you had a Julio home run and the Suarez home run to walk it off, and they're just flat out fun, entertaining. And
Yeah, I saw the Luis Castillo Shohei Ohtani a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles, or in Anaheim. Time of my life, man. Especially because that was the infamous "What are you doing, Angels" game in the top of the ninth, where they forgot how to play defense.
Oh, they just haven't known how to play defense for a while. I say coming from the worst defensive team in baseball, but
what happened to Brandon Crawford, man?
He's been hurt.
He got old.
He's also been hurt. I mean,
the everything went right for the Giants last year. Everything. All of the veterans put in career performances. A lot of things gelled. There weren't a lot of injuries. There were some, but there weren't a lot. But they're like, what is the bench? Who's on the bench? It's a different guy every week, right? Like
Willie Calhoun is starting today. So
today, but I think they're tinkering and they're tinkering and they're tinkering and they're tinkering and they're getting the last out of a couple veterans and testing out some new guys and looking towards the future. But last year was an absolute like somebody sacrificed the right goat. Like everything went right. But let's not to discredit them. They did an amazing thing. I mean, this is coming from a Dodgers fan. They gave us a ride, right? They gave us a ride. And
it's the best year. It was the best year of the rivalry, quite frankly, ever.
It was the best two-team race of literally any two. Winning 106 games and finishing second in the division is not going to happen again.
No, it's not.
Or it's extremely unlikely to happen. I'll never say never because baseball. But it's so unlikely to happen.
Yeah, especially and then we're just looking at that 88-win Braves team,
That's
just how baseball is, and baseball. That's why it's so cool.
That should have been the NLCS. I would have died, but I would have loved 7 games at Dodgers Giants last year.
Oh, absolutely! It would have gone all 7 too. It just
very likely.
So. But yeah, anyway, enough about last year's Giants team that was actually good. We'll talk about this last couple of weeks in baseball. Not even everything, but the last couple of weeks and what's going on. In our 7th inning stretch, I still am too lazy to go and find the little thing that we have. So I'm just going to pick a winner at the end because I feel like it, because that's kind of how we run this. Anyway, so first inning, first question, first thing to talk about. Minor League Baseball is unionizing, or attempting to anyway. They put out a couple weeks ago, they're sending out cards to minor league baseball players to hey, this is the thing we're trying to do, and it's gained a good bit of traction. The MLB said they're going to actually formally acknowledge this minor league player union, which is big considering they have a hefty class action lawsuit filed against Major League Baseball as well for, I guess, $185 million. For Major League Baseball, it's probably chump change, but that's a lot of money. So, but yeah, I guess the question, I don't know if there really is a question. If the minor leagues become unionized, how close are we to respectful minor league systems? Because minor leaguers aren't treated well. We know that. If they do get a union, what really changes? What do we think that's going to be looking like here?
I think it's going to be huge. You know what I mean? We've seen the sway the MLBPA itself has had, but if they get a union like the NBA players have, the minor leaguers are going to be really, really, really treated well. But it all has to go perfectly for it to happen.
That's fair.
So here's the thing. We actually already have an example of what that might look like. The minor league umpires are unionized under the Association of Minor League Umpires, and they still don't have very good pay. They still don't have it is measurably better, especially for female umpires. It has improved conditions, but it is not the immediate jump and immediate fix that some people might think it might be. The distinction here is that the minor league umpires and the major league umpires are two different unions. I don't know how much interaction they have. They didn't really have that much as far as I knew. But they are two different unions. What this would be minor leaguers organizing underneath the current MLBPA. That's where there's more power, because that is, I mean, that's basically the equivalent of the players having their own antitrust laws. Like everyone, exemption, I mean, is like everyone's here. Everyone is here. Everyone's at the table. Will that improve? I mean, it's gonna see basic improvements, yes. Yeah. But I don't. It's gonna be a back and forth. It's gonna be it's got to be a separate CBA, right? Like, there's no way they do the same CBA. It's too big of a document, and I don't think anybody would want that. So it just depends on, like, they're still organizing, or they're still fighting for certain things. I think this early acquiescence in Major League Baseball is maybe hoping to, like, lull them into a sense of, like, oh, we're working with you, and they're going to pull the rug at some point. I just think if we look at minor league umpires who have the union, it's not a very powerful union. Can you tell me what the name of that union is? Yeah, exactly. No one knows. It's just the Association of Minor League Umpires. What a name, Yeah. But it doesn't have power. Most people doesn't even know it exists. This is the smartest move I think they could have made in forms of consolidating power and being taken seriously and having real heft, because Major League Baseball just dealt with them over the lockout, so they are well aware of what is possible. Whether or not it actually, I think there will be some immediate improvements. We'll have to see about long term. There's already been some improvements, right? Like with housing and some of those things have already been fought for. Whether or not those are still the things that they're pushing for, which what else would they be pushing for other than better pay and better treatment and better housing? We'll see. I don't expect Major League Baseball to be this easygoing for the entire route, because that's just not what Major League Baseball is, and it's not in their interest to lay down right now. But Manfred comes from the background of that he does. Yeah, like what look what he's done. This is the one good thing that he's done. So of course everyone's going to be like, was this good? I don't know.
Like, what's the catch?
Mm-hmm. All I say is it takes one minor league strike, and then a bunch of players in the major start getting injured, and all of a sudden you can't get your AAA guys, can't get your AA guys to come up. They're going to get paid really, really quick if that happens.
That's fair.
I mean,
my big thing
baseball has shut down before for a strike. So okay, let's talk about.
I was going to say, but the thing is, like,
you struck a chord.
But the thing is, like, let's say, like, Cody Bellinger gets hurt. You don't want me coming and playing center field for the Dodgers. You know what I mean?
You probably have about the same plate presence.
But here's the thing. So the last, here's some history that most people don't really think about or know about. So the umpire strike that happened in '99, Major League Baseball broke their union, absolutely broke it in half. They couldn't do a mass resignation because of some union things. So they basically, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was the equivalent of a mass resignation, and Major League Baseball said, okay. And through the course of it, the old union ceased to represent current players. Several Major League umpires were not officially blackballed, but were basically blackballed and weren't hired back. And they had to form a completely new union. This new Major League Umpires Union is what sprang from that. At the same time, the Minor League Association formed, which I thought was smart, like, get in while everybody's organizing. But Major League Baseball, the last couple, like, tiffs with unions have been more fraught than people really think about, and especially that umpires union. So I don't know that Major League Baseball has already survived pandemic and being shut down, and having a 60-game season. Now, they didn't make nearly as much money, of course, and I'm sure they don't want to do it again. But I don't see Major League Baseball as being as desperate for players or as desperate to get things started as people think. They canceled games earlier this season. They made them up, but they canceled games. They're not afraid to play that chip. So I don't know how effective a strike like that would be, because they're not afraid of saying, okay, we'll just wait you out. We're billionaires.
Yeah, see, but that's what Roger Goodell tried to do when the NFL refs went on strike. The replacement refs came in. The quality of refereeing dropped immediately. He's like, oh, hell no, and went and got the refs back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to 72, the umpires.
Yeah, but if you get guys off the streets, like, you can replace the players if the minor leaguers go on strike. But the more people start to get injured, the more the quality of the product starts to drop, and that's when it's going to start making a difference. Here's the thing.
Most of these teams do not give a shit what kind of quality is on the field, because that's not where they make their money.
Yeah.
So that threat, yes, maybe long-term would work, but they don't care. Like, the Rockies are a real estate company. You know, so I get where you're coming from. I understand that, and fans will be mad, but they have no incentive right now to do that, because they don't care if they win. Some teams do not care if they win. It's not as an overall effective thing.
My big thing about a minor league union is that it would make another culling of minor league teams and affiliates much more difficult compared to the last time that happened recently. And I think that at the minimum, that would be just a huge step forward to ensure that those players have at least some protections against that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that's going to come out of it. I think we just have to wait and see. And so only time will tell. So yeah. What's new? This is how it goes. So, but yeah, only time will tell. But I think it's a good general step in the right direction. And so,
yes, very much so.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, moving on to inning 2. So throughout the season, we've seen a ton of super young guys really contributing to big teams. Some examples are, we have Julio. You got Adley's pretty young, Gunnar Henderson, Michael Hot Wheels Harris. I need Hot Wheels Harris to catch on so badly. I think it's an amazing nickname for Michael Harris. Anyway, but we've seen a lot of these guys helping and contributing to teams making a playoff push. And it's been traditionally in the past, you don't have these super young guys helping these playoff contenders in a sense. But that being said, there's been a trend as of late where you have in the last 5 or so years, I'd say, you have guys like Soto, Tatis, McClanahan for the Rays. I don't know why I only specified that team, but
Rosarena for the Rays.
Yeah, the Rosarena. You have these guys contributing to these teams in the postseason. They're very, very late in the season. It's happened, I'd say, last 5 to 7 years maybe. Before that, it was kind of like not much of a thing. It's almost unheard of, really. But how do you think, kind of bring this back to minor leagues and kind of what we just kind of talked about a whole lot. How do you think this is going to affect maybe some this question is just about a minor league union, straight up. That's all it's about. As I'm reading through this again, we just kind of talked about this.
Is the question how are these guys come up and contributing all of a sudden?
Yeah, that's kind of what it's about.
It's attitude. It's attitude 100%. I can't really speak to those other players, but in 2019 we had Alex Verdugo, Will Smith, and Matt Beatty have a rookie walk-off weekend, and they came up and were immediately contributing and would have continued contributing had we not smacked into the Nationals, a team of destiny, in 2019. But there was a conscious decision within the Dodger locker room to not haze rookies. to not harass them, to not, just yesterday, we're recording this on Monday, Sunday was Dodger dress-up day. And it used to be only rookies. It used to be a hazing thing. It used to be a shaming thing. Like, they used to like, aha, the rookies have to do that. And now it's everyone gets to do it. Everyone gets to have fun. And they've kind of talked about that, especially in that 2019 season when we had so many rookies coming up. Edwin Rios also came up that year. Of course, he's been hurt, but like he was also contributing. There was a concentrated effort to make rookies feel welcome, to make rookies feel supported. It literally just an emotional change is like the biggest change, because they still got the staff, they still got the coaching, they still got all that, but a concentrated effort to make rookies feel at home. And I think that is a shift in baseball attitude, where like put in your dues, put in your times. Well, everybody puts in their dues, right? Like they remember doing it. And I think part of this unionizing the minors is also major leaguers realizing, oh, I didn't have to have it that bad. I didn't have to go through hell. We could make this better for everyone. And I maybe could have had better numbers if I had, not had to been walk naked somewhere. I don't know how hazing works, but like honestly, like I think that's part of it. And I think other teams are kind of catching on to that. It's like, why would you take this young hot player that you've invested several years in their career and then like make and give them a hot foot? Like, what the hell? And I think that's part of that changing baseball culture, which is extremely positive. But I know that's how it was on the Dodgers. It was a conscious effort to be like, you know what, rookies are not coffee getters. Like there might be light hazing or something like that, but it's a concentrated effort to make them feel welcome, to help them contribute. And that's, we got Will Smith out of the deal. Verdugo's over with the Red Sox, hitting, I think he's like hitting 280 something for him, which is, not bad. Abedi got DFA from the Padres. We won't talk about that, but we got the good out of him, right? And the rookie season, and it's attitude.
Yeah. Jenny?
I think you're just Diego, I think you're just overlooking some stuff in the past. I think it's less that it's as rare as you make it out to be. I think it's just that these are particularly notable players doing it. We've heard Julio's been a top-rated prospect for a long time.
Yeah.
Adley's been a top-rated prospect for a long time, and it's not just that they're helping these teams, it's who they're helping. It's Mariners, who haven't had a postseason playoff since I've been alive. It's the Orioles, who have been really bad for a long time. I think that has made it stand out more than some other players in the past, but there's always been like one or two young players who ball out in the postseason.
2017, Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge as rookies lit the league on fire. You know what I mean? That was only 5 years ago. It just happens. It's just more fun when the low-key teams have those guys, and a lot of them.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Just kind of like an oversight thing, really. But I just feel like, at least this year, it feels like a very high concentration of it. That might make it like the oversight, or make it seem like, oh, this doesn't happen a whole lot. But it's really just, hey, we've got like 9 guys who happen to be like 23 and also like lighting up the league all at the same time.
And plus, we relaxed the rules. Like, you can celebrate, you can like pimp home runs, so they show a lot more personality and it stands out more. Like Julio Rodriguez hitting that game-tying home run and just how excited he was. That kind of stands out more than like 5 years ago, Aaron Judge hitting a game-tying home run and then just respectfully trotting the bases like he's supposed to, or supposed to.
Air quotes.
I mean, how old were Chris Bryant and Javier Baez when the Cubs won their World Series? They were pretty young then too.
That's a great question. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
22? Because I think Bryant's 29.
I thought Bryant was 30.
I thought Bryant was like 23 or 24 in 2016.
That sounds right. That sounds accurate, actually. I don't know. Point being, like, I think you guys are definitely right. Y'all are like kind of on it. Like, it's not necessarily like, oh, this doesn't happen. This happens. It's just maybe
it's a perception thing.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think that's probably accurate. But yeah, nonetheless, it's cool to see. The young, let the kids play, which is been that mantra of MLB for the last few years. But also, they don't want the kids to play at all. Sometimes, I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway,
I do think that young players coming up and then making an immediate impact on playoff teams. I think it's the best possible sort of marketing for MLB. You got these exciting young players on these exciting teams who are going to get a lot of eyes on them because they're going to be in the postseason. I mean, Randy Arozarena became an overnight sensation because of his World Series stuff.
Yeah.
No, you're right. So, I don't know, I think
Could
you're
not
right.
get that boy out. Couldn't get him out.
You got your ring. You can't complain.
Wasn't a complaint. It was a compliment.
Yeah.
If
I'm scared when you come into the batter's box, that's the ultimate sign of respect.
My favorite thing was this year at Diamond Digest. Literally, any time Randy Rosa would come to the plate, we'd get the same meme in our chat that just said, "Babe, wake up! Randy's up to bat."
Yeah.
But anyway, going from these young guys. No, they were good at bats, man. Some of our best, the clips we still use on our Sunday night watch party and stuff, come from that postseason. There's a lot of them of Scott and I just kind of talking about Randy Arozarena. There's the Kevin Kiermaier one that we have, but it's still very prevalent here a little bit. But anyway, moving on from these young guys to some old guy here, Albert Pujols, now 3 home runs away from 700. We talked about a little bit a couple weeks ago, talking about it's probably going to happen, but it's going to be close. He's 3 away with 20-something games to go.
Never doubted.
That's just it's insane to think about. He's just kind of been on a tear. You got to respect it. It's been kind of wild. But in the event that he doesn't hit 700, which is still a possibility. He's still an old Albert Pujols. Do you think there's a shot he maybe comes back for another season? Or do you think we're literally seeing the dwindling down of his career?
This is the magical storybook ending. This is what everybody dreams of. You know what I mean? You want to be remembered on the highest of highs. And then you come back, you get 700, and then you just suck for the rest of the year? Great, you got 700, but you suck, and you don't leave a great lasting impression.
Just retire,
Yeah.
Ichiro Suzuki retiring after the first series.
I don't know if I want him to wait that long or if it will, but he is in 2 weeks. The Cardinals are in Dodger Stadium, and I would not mind seeing him hit 700 against one of our pitchers. But I like the relievers that we don't care about,
Andrew Heaney, that's what I want to say it off of.
No!
Tyler Anderson.
Hey, you leave our starters alone.
Tony Gonzalez.
But
Bruce Starr
Gonzalez down for the count right now. Bruce Starr's down for the count. Our arms are sore.
Craig Kimbrell.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
No, if he wasn't hurt, Blake Trinan.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. But he is.
Which is somehow better.
Well, he's got some legal troubles to work out. Anyway, that's a joke. He doesn't. We have a joke about how, where was he on January 6th? Because,
you never know.
He deserves it. He deserves those jokes.
You never know.
Yeah, he's Tio Albert. The more I look at how close he is and will he, won't he, the angrier I get at the Angels for absolutely wasting him. Just because he's clearly still has the ability. He had the ability the whole time. I adopted a minor leaguer through the Adopt a Minor Leaguer plan. It's great. He's in the Angel system, and every time I talk to him, I'm just biting my tongue, not to just be like, "What's it like? Is it awful? Is it terrible? Don't talk to anyone. Don't talk to coaches." Protect this little bubble, And I just the Angels have so much to answer for on so many levels, but especially with Albert, He could have broken the record. He could have easily. Clearly, he is still at this age and still able to knock him out of the park. He could have beat the all-time record if he wasn't just languishing in Anaheim. And maybe that's unfair to No,
Maybe the
I don't
Angels
think it
just
is.
have the opposite of Cardinal Voodoo Magic, and the Cardinal Voodoo Magic had to get him going again.
I guess.
Yeah,
Well, hey, it was the
possible.
Dodgers that fixed him. Don't forget about that.
I wrote
All of
about
the
it, man.
Dodgers.
I wrote about that. I know we got him going.
Anaheim. They just get out of Anaheim. That's also like,
Yeah.
which one is it? It's probably a little bit of both.
Remember, like, during the Mookie Betts trade, where like there was gonna be Jock Peterson and Ross Stripling to the Angels, and that fell through. I've never been more happy for like a trade to not happen because I like those players, and I was like, I don't want to send you to Anaheim. That's just
Dude,
well,
friend,
hopefully they get a new owner.
I was going to
Well,
Disney
they
with my
are.
friend. He's an Angels fan. Like when they canceled the trade, he's like, "What the hell, man? Like, what happened?"
Yeah.
Arte happened. Your owner happened. Hopefully,
I talked about this the last time I was on here. You asked us if Pujols was going to hit 700, and part of my point was if he's close, he's going to come back because, to play the game for as long as he has, he obviously cares about it so much, and basically, I don't think he can walk. He'll be satisfied walking away if he's at 698 or 699.
That's fair. Another thing where I think it kind of chalks up to only time will tell, but I think it's probably hard to believe he doesn't get a 700 at this point. Like,
and with 3 weeks left, yeah, 4 weeks
left.
well,
Only
3
need three.
and some change.
Yeah, and he only needs 3.
A home run a week. That's doable.
He's been doing a home run like every 2 or 3 days the last week and a half. So
he had a 2-homer game the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So we're at a point where it could happen in one day.
It could. It very well could.
Just for your sake, I hope it doesn't happen on
a
Sunday night watch party.
God, I would.
Because I think Carson would have to do it by himself for the rest of the time.
No, straight up. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to have fun. And he would just talk about Albert Pujols for an hour and a half.
He'd probably take off his shirt and start running around his house.
Yeah. You never know.
That's good television.
Yeah, that's just quality content. We'll make it into a TikTok or two.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from Albert Pujols to an actually successful Anaheim Angel, just the player, not the team organization. Shohei Ohtani is an absolute unicorn. We all knew this in terms of his elite, like, just level of hitting and pitching. And we've seen our fair share of other, like, either minor league two-way players or two-way players that simply aren't, like, Max Scherzer on the mound.
Good.
And, one of the best hitters in baseball at the plate. Or good. Yeah. We've seen guys like Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen was doing it for a bit. I don't think he's doing it much now. I could be wrong about that. But when he was on the Reds, he did it a fair amount, I feel like. At least I remember it a little bit here and there. You got, like, Jared Walsh did it for a little bit in the minors, I think. You had, Cronenworth's also another example. He did it in college, at least.
And in the minors, but only for a handful of innings.
Yeah,
did the Rays try and develop Shane Baz or who was?
You guys are overlooking Hanser Alberto.
Hanser Alberto,
Russell
amazing
Martin.
two-way player. Will Myers,
Brendan
Padres.
Yeah, Brendan McKay. That was the guy, the Rays guy.
I mean, I don't know that we'll. I don't think it's an accident that Shohei is an amazing two-way player and he's from Japan. Now, I don't know very much about how Japanese baseball kids do, but here in America, it seems, and even overseas, and in places that are trying to funnel into Major League Baseball, it seems like they get kids to specialize at such an early age. I don't know if we have another two-way player like that because they're not being trained that way. And it's kind of icky to think about because, we talked about earlier on another podcast betting on the Little League World Series, which is icky. But, like, by that time, kids know whether or not they're going to be a pitcher or not. Now, and every now and then, you'll get a conversion. Like, Kenley Jansen was drafted as a catcher and converted into a pitcher. Like, we'll get conversions maybe, but I don't think we'll ever see a two-way player like that while the U.S. funneling, again, Major League funneling system is as specialized and is fragmented as it is.
See, this is where I think you're wrong because this is what they said about, like, Michael Vick.
No.
No, I'd
Because,
love to be wrong. Let's go.
because you can't play football like Michael Vick. No one wants to play football with Michael Vick. But guess what? There are a lot of kids that grew up watching Michael Vick play football the way he did, and one of those kids became Lamar Jackson. There are
That's
kids
true.
watching Shohei Ohtani do the most incredible things we've ever seen on a baseball diamond. And you don't think they want to be like Shohei Ohtani? And
That's
there's
fair.
nothing harder to say no to than a screaming kid being like, I want to pitch and hit. You know
Let
what I
me
mean?
do both.
It's going to start being like, it can happen. He's been healthy for 2 years now. He's not getting hurt. A lot more kids are going to start developing as two-way players. They're not all going to hit, but they're
I
going to
don't know,
start
man.
hitting more and more.
I think the elimination of the DA of the universal DH put a nail in any program that would specialize like that. That's not to say kids don't want to do it. You're not wrong, but everything is so funneled now. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a kid say, "Screw you! I'm going to play. I'm going to be a two-way player." But that's just my cynical nature. You're not wrong. He is very inspiring.
I think it's less that the current system doesn't allow for it. I just think that at the current way baseball is, it's just you have to be so incredibly gifted at either just one hitting or one pitching to even make the major leagues. I mean, it's in college. I mean, two-way players are still decently common. They're not. I mean, it's not like every team has them, but they show up every once in a while.
Like, I will say this. No, sorry, keep going. I'll finish after you.
I was just going to continue going on saying it's just so hard to be good at both because it's so hard to be good at one, you know. And I mean, look at Jake Cronenworth. He just doesn't have the physical talent to be a pitcher. No offense, but when he pitched in the big leagues, he was throwing 88 miles per hour with his fastball. I mean, that's not good enough to be a big league pitcher. It takes so much, both physically and skill wise, to make either side of the ball. That really, it just seems so unlikely for anybody to even be average at both, let alone do what Ohtani is doing.
No, I think that's a really good point too. It's hard enough to make the major league level doing one or the other. Doing both is kind of crazy. But I will also say this much. The Giants' first-round pick in the MLB draft this last year, Reggie Crawford, was a two-way player out of Connecticut, and they said after they drafted him, they intend to develop him as a two-way player.
I'm not too familiar with this, but like if they poach some player development people from Los Angeles, I think it could work.
All right, well,
don't you think Gabe and Farhan both just scraped a lot of stuff into a bag and ran?
Oh, I think Gabe Kapler's an awful manager. I love Farhan, but I don't like Gabe Kapler. I've been over this a lot. Like Farhan's great. I know he's a Dodger product, but Gabe Kapler's not. Gabe Kapler would be. I said this yesterday. I think Gabe Kapler would be an excellent bench coach, and I don't think he's a good manager. I think he'd be a great bench coach though.
The way he eats his chicken nuggets, I don't trust him.
I've told you the ice cream story, right? Well, no, I can't tell.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We've talked about before. Gabe Kapler is something. Anyway, but yeah. So I think there's like what Joseph was saying. There's a good. There's some merit to that. Absolutely, considering there's a guy that got drafted literally this last year. He's like, hey, I want to be a two-way player, and then the Giants are like, okay, we'll develop you as such. And so
A's got a guy in there, real young guy in there, on their Arizona team who's a two-way player from Australia, BJ Cook.
Yep. See, so I don't know how well it's going to work, or what that cutoff of sorts is to where you're like, okay, we've tried developing this two-way player, but clearly you can't pitch, or clearly you can't hit, so we're going to focus on one. So I feel like
Hunter Green's an example of that. When he was drafted, he was initially developed as a two-way player, but he just couldn't hit. So
he throws 102 miles an hour, which also helps. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying there. Like, it's a great example. So, but we'll see what happens. We will see. I think it's going to be exciting to watch. like the development of it. So anyway, we'll move on to something else that may be exciting to watch. Maybe you aren't so excited to watch it. Next year, we're going to have a few new rule changes implemented to Major League Baseball. I've heard various opinions on both sides for each rule, so I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on each rule. If the listener here, if you don't know, we're going to get things such as a pitch clock you'll have 15 seconds when bases are empty, 20 when there's runners on bases, and if you violate the pitch clock as a pitcher, it's an automatic ball. And there is a batter violation of sorts too. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can also get an automatic strike called. I think it's like stepping out of the box too long or something, not getting the box in time, something along those lines. Pitchers can only step off the rubber twice per at bat or play appearance. You can only have 2 infielders on each side of second base, and they must be on or be touching the dirt. Both feet need to be on the dirt. And then the bases increase from 15 inches to 18. What are your thoughts?
I think the biggest issue with baseball has always been pace of play. Like, I bring this up a lot when I talk about this with people, but the NFL games take longer than baseball games. And the NFL is an institution in this country. But the thing is, it takes like an inordinate amount of time between balls in play in baseball. If we get more action, you get more eyes on your sport, and this helps incentivize a lot of action in the sport.
I think it gives the second base umpire something to do during the game. So
That's it gives him a job. Responsibility.
I will say this. I did this was a couple of years ago, actually. This is like 2018, 2019. I did have a conversation with a major league umpire, and one of the things I asked him was what is something that we can do to make the game more interesting in your opinion? And before I even really finished the question, he said ban the shift. He said he watches a lot of baseball, those umpires, and he said so many times. Anyway. Yeah. And he said, balls fly directly into gloves because the math says it should. And he's like, how much more interesting would it be if, the player maybe knows the ball's going to go that way, but he's got to haul ass over to get it. And you're going to see a lot more athleticism on the field. So I don't know. I'm a Dodger fan, so I like my analytics. And the shift works really, really well for us. We're really good at it. But that is something to consider is, there's going to be more balls in play. There's going to be more action and things like that. So, but between that and the pitch clock, maybe we do see some more. I don't know. I think that just means more people on base and longer games. Like,
yeah, but people on base is fun. You know what I mean? There's always that intrigue.
If the game's longer, at least, it's, the pitcher's trying to work out of bases loaded 1 out situation rather than, this at bat took 12 minutes and there's no one on. It's also the second inning, an hour after the game started. Like, I don't know.
I mean, it'll keep. What is it, Clevenger? Who makes
it?
So I want to.
Jenny.
So I want to talk about both the shift and the pitch clock. I'll start with the pitch clock. I've talked about this before a bit on Twitter, but the pitch clock ended up saving a date I went on quite a bit. I had convinced a friend to come to a baseball game with me. He was not a baseball. Yeah, and he was not a baseball fan. So imagine my horror as in the 4th or 5th inning, it was 11-1.
Nice.
And then eventually ballooning to a final score of 17-3.
Nice.
Even with that, the game was still under 3 hours, thankfully. So it wasn't completely awful. It was that game that really convinced me the merit of the pitch clock, and I think it's a good thing now. And for the shift, Tavi talked about it a bit, how the banning of the shift would require more athleticism. I wonder about the knock-on effect it will have on players who aren't athletic, who don't really have a good defensive position. Max Muncy, I think, is a great example of this. He plays, all over
No.
the place.
Have you seen him play second? Have you seen him jump like 4 feet in the air to get it? Okay. He's not good at third, but he's good.
He's
a good
awful
middle
at third.
He's not good at third, but unfortunately that's where he is because
you use him way too much at third for someone who can't play third base.
He's very good at second.
Gavin Lux and Freddie Freeman have first and second.
Gavin Lux is an awful
I just cannot let that
too.
Max Muncy slander. Like, I will send you entire videos of him jumping up like a cat and snatching balls out of the air. I'll admit he's not good
mobility
at third.
like.
He's not good at third. That's just where we have to shove him sometimes.
He can't move horizontally, and which he can't do at second either. So, as I was saying, some players who are more limited athletically,
Dan Vogelbach,
some second basemen and third basemen who aren't the best movers. You can hide them defensively using the shift. Jose Altuve, he's another example of a player on a team who hides his defensive shortcomings with the shift a lot. I wonder the knock-on effect it will have on that. The A's, they have a player, Jordan Diaz, who's a fantastic hitter, but looks like he could potentially be a pure DH in the future. But recently they've been trying him out at second base. It's a very interesting decision because he is very bad defensively. But if the shift was still around, you think that he would be a better overall defender because they would use the shift more often when he's in the field compared to just shifting as normal. But with the shift now banned, you will require more out of your infielders, and I think it will lead to less sort of just stick them there and hope for the best kind of situations.
Yeah, well, I think it makes moves. I mean, Cody Bellinger's in the outfield, but a lot of people have been giving, Dave Roberts flack for keeping him in the lineup when he's hitting so poorly. But his glove will save him every time. And I think players like that who maybe don't have the batting average, it makes those calls more defensible because saving a run can be as important, if not more important, than scoring a run sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's with the rule changes, I'll say this. The one I've really openly not liked is banning the shift or limiting the shift, just because I'm such a big fan of if the math says this and it's right, I think it's awesome. I think being able to outsmart the game is kind of cool because it doesn't always work either. So I think that's why I think it works. But I've also said this. I'm sure I'm wrong about the total or how it's going to affect the game as a whole. And I'm more than happy to eat my words about it. But as of where we are right now, I'm like, I don't love the idea. I also didn't really like the universal DH. And I knew I was going to come around on it. I just really liked watching pitchers hit, even when they didn't blow straight fastballs right down Main Street by them. But I know I'll come around to it. But right now, as we stand now, I'm not a huge fan of the shift just because I like analytics. I think they're cool. I think they're neat. I want to see them work in action, and limiting the shift will prevent that a bit. So that's just math is fun. Thank you.
Also, the way they've banned the shift right now, it's not gonna do what they want, which is increase balls in play. Well, it will somewhat, but not the way keeping the shift unbanned would. Keeping the shift illegal would make players like Stephen Kwan, who are great at spraying the ball all over the field, they would make those types of players much more valuable. With the way the shift has been implemented now, slow lumbering home run hitters who also hit the ball into the ground on one specific side of the field a lot. Ryan Howard's. It'll make those players even more common. It'll make them even more prevalent, which those are the type of players that a lot of people are criticizing, those three true outcome guys. But
conversely, Freddie Freeman, hits the ball over the place. And I swear to God, every time I turn on a Dodger game, they're shifting Freddie Freeman for some goddamn reason.
Does that
I
work?
was just thinking that. No, it never works.
He hits the ball all over the place.
Yeah, he have the highest average, one of the highest averages in baseball, because he's like,
Right.
oh, you're standing over there? I hit it over there.
Yeah.
Also,
I think,
it gets rid of bunt doubles, which.
hey, I like bunt doubles.
Yeah, I know. I was saying boo to getting rid of them.
Oh, that's you were saying boo bunt doubles. I'm like, hey, they're fun.
They are.
But also, like, watching someone put down 2 unsuccessful bunts, not fun. But when it works, it's cool. And that's just another example.
Hitting, by the way.
Yeah, I do like. It's cool when pitchers. Logan Webb had a home run the last game of the season last year, and I thought it was awesome. Anyway, like I'm very much a fan of like the very niche, like little things, like that result of just being or outsmarting the game, which I understand no one else is, but I am. So I think ultimately these changes probably going to be better for the casual fan. We'll get a little bit more increase in interest in the sport, but again, only time will tell. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm sure I'll have much more words to say about the shift being banned as we come closer to next season and all that. But for now, it's where we end. Anyway, moving on.
I'm just waiting for the day we get the inevitable hockey style pulling the goalie, but instead of pulling the goalie, they pull an outfielder into the infield.
I mean, that happened every now and then, or used to. And I mean, technically, there's nothing saying you can't.
Yeah, and that's what I'm waiting for now to happen.
Like, if you put, like, oh, God, what's a good example of a guy that played? I guess I can use Gavin Lux as an example, because Gavin Lux plays the outfield a little bit, right?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Those
he
were
was
two-
there last year.
God, okay.
Yes, he does technically.
Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor's a better example.
Chris
Chris
Taylor is a
Taylor.
better
There you
example.
go.
Yes,
There you
thank
go.
you. Like, say he's starting the day and left, but you want to use him as like a shift. Like, you can do that. You can put. There's nothing saying the left fielder can't stand on the right side of the diamond, like on the infield even. So, or
And
in shallow
if
right.
any team do it, the Dodgers with Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts in the outfield can certainly do it.
Yeah,
They're the only ones
Mookie
that
Betts
can get
can
away
play
with it.
second,
Yeah, probably.
That's what I'm saying.
but Mookie Betts play more second base. Is what I'm saying. But anyway,
The way that people believe, I believe it too, that because like how many games did Mookie Betts play at second right before the Juan Soto trade? What a thing of beauty!
I don't even think he played again. I think he was taking ground balls in the infield.
No, he was at second for a couple games, or at least one game or two, like right around trade deadline.
Does he play second base? I imagine not very much.
I think he's like 3 games, maybe.
All I know is he has second base eligibility in our Diamond Digest Fantasy League, and he's my starting second baseman.
That's a very smart move.
So
I mean the cost, the opportunity cost is very low because he's like the best outfield defender in baseball. And he's just an okay second baseman, but so
probably
like there's really no reason.
I think he gets probably bored out in right field and likes to chat with the infielder sometimes.
Yeah. Like, it makes more sense to put like Chris Taylor in the 5-man infield and just have Betts and Bellinger track everything down in the outfield.
Which is like more than like valid, I feel like. So I don't know. I think we'll see teams try to cheat it like that, and then they'll have to amend it somehow.
I think spring training is going to be wild.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
when it comes to trying stuff like that.
Yeah, but if they try doing
I think the
that
Arizona League is going to maybe. It would be interesting to see if they try out some stuff in the Arizona League where there's very little eyes on players and things like that.
They would
it's all fun and games until Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper are playing as 2-man outfields.
Wait, Harper's good.
Kyle Schwarber.
I mean, like, defensively, he's not.
Might as well be a 1-man outfield with only Harper if you got Castellanos or Schwarber in there.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. I think you're right. It'll be interesting to see spring training and how teams because teams will find a workaround one way or another. And I think it'll
probably the Dodgers.
Probably the Dodgers. Yeah.
Or the Rays.
We're an innovative team.
Yeah.
Do you know he invented the throat guard for catchers?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. I didn't
that was the thing that was developed with Dodgers and catchers. There's something else too, but Yeah, that was an innovation because someone got hit in the throat, and they're like, "Hey, let's stop.
Let's
that
not
from
do
happening
that."
again."
How about we don't do
How
that
about
moving
no?
forward? Anyway, moving on from the rule changes, we'll move on to just kind of what I mentioned earlier. These postseason races that we have, we've got a few that are very, very close. We have some that have been decided since opening day, i.e., the National League West. But yeah, I think we have. It's easy. It's really easy to keep your eye on Philadelphia, San Diego, and Milwaukee in the NL wild card. Only two of those teams can make it. Also, you have in the American League, Tampa, Seattle, Toronto, and even Baltimore a bit. I think Baltimore's only 5.5 out. They can still make a push. Like, all it takes is a couple of good weeks and a couple not so good weeks from one of those first three teams. And so, do I think it's going to happen? No. But can it? Yes. Do I want it to happen? Also, yes. But, yeah, other close, the NL East, the Mets and the Braves only being a game and a half apart. The White Sox still miraculously are in a postseason push situation, 2.5 back of Cleveland. Minnesota also only 4.5 back. I think those are the real close ones. Yeah. How do y'all think that's going to shake out? What do you think is going to happen here in the last few weeks here?
I think just as a fan of parity, I think Toronto would slide out, and then you get Seattle, Baltimore, and Toronto, or Tampa slides out. And Seattle,
Toronto
Baltimore,
can slide
Toronto.
out. Yeah, Toronto.
You'd rather have Toronto over Tampa, or Tampa over Toronto?
I like both of those teams a lot.
I'd rather have Toronto.
Rogers Center, come on.
Well, playoff baseball in
Kevin
Canada
Gosman.
always rules.
Kevin Gosman.
And also their infield.
I have an odd question. I'm an NL West girl. Are the other divisions as incestuous as the NL West is from their schedule here on out? They are only playing.
I was extremely confused by your word choice there for a second.
Maybe it wasn't the best one, but it was a fancy one.
It made sense.
But there's only a handful of other teams who are playing NL West teams, and the rest of them, the Dodgers from here on out, only play, except for the Cardinals, pretty much only play NL West. It seems like it's very concentrated. We're going to see the Diamondbacks 8 times in the next 2 weeks, which is
6 straight against the Rockies to close the season.
Yeah, 8 times against and 6 straight against the Rockies, and the Diamondback series is 5 games in 4 days because one of them a doubleheader. So are the other divisions like that? That seems insane.
But also no, and I don't know because I'm
I don't know. That's again the only division I paid attention to. I guess maybe they thought it was going to be a closer race, like it was last year or something. I guess it feels like. I don't know. I think it's just that we're playing the Diamondbacks and the Rockies so much, and those games just, as long as everyone stays healthy, do not matter. And I hate saying that because it does matter to someone. It does matter, especially if they bring up Winton Bernard again. Please bring back Winton Bernard, Rockies. I miss him. But
I know the Braves and Mets have the second to last series against each other.
Yeah.
That's going to be insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this past one was fraught in a good way. It was very exciting, but it'll be, it'll be interesting.
All the A series from here on out, except for one, are AL West opponents.
Okay. So they are trying to keep, it makes sense.
They want to make the games matter.
They are. They're insulated. How about that?
Insulated. There we go. There we go. Well, it's funny because the Rockies are actually playing the White Sox today. It's kind of the same deal with maybe not as important as the Padres Brewers because Padres Brewers are starting that two game series, but they're playing the White Sox. The Rockies are playing the White Sox in Chicago, and then they go up and play the Cubs. And the White Sox game is the series is the one that I think will matter most in standings. The Rockies can get hot at weird times, especially in Coors, but Rocktober. So but then they just play they play Los Angeles and San Francisco. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games against San Francisco, and then 6 games against or 6 games against the Dodgers. And so I know some of that's making up for the season start hullabaloo, but it also just seems crazy. I will say this: the Giants had a bum schedule this week.
They had a bum team. They have a bad team. They're not good.
They went to let me make sure I'm getting this right. So first of all, they're in like a stretch of several games in a row. They traveled to Los Angeles. They did win one, but then they lost. They had the very next day they had 2 games in Milwaukee, and then the very next day they traveled to Chicago, and then they're traveling to Atlanta. Then they're going home to play Atlanta. They're going home to play Atlanta. I would be, if I was in playoff contention, I would be mad at that schedule. Really, really mad. I hope they have good like neck pillows and stuff.
No, they probably do. Like a lot of those team guys are old, so they probably know.
But I just again, I know that some of that's making up for early season weirdness.
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
It just the scheduling was really stupid in September this year, I feel.
Yeah, it's a one-off, so like that's the reason I can live with it. I'm like, we're not gonna do this again, hopefully. But
well, once it stopped being that sweet old couple who did it, it's really just gone downhill.
It's true.
Maybe the Giants are worse this year because they have to travel more.
Oh no, it's because they don't have talent. That's why they're bad.
It's because, again, literally every goat sacrifice worked last year. So
it's a talent issue. I can guarantee you that. But as someone who watches a lot of Giants baseball, it's not the travel problem. I mean, it's probably not the best companion to all the rest of it. They're just not very talented this year. And that's okay. That's okay. Anyway.
You're testing out every bench player ever.
Yeah, the fact that when I got the lineup notification today and I saw Willie Calhoun DH, I didn't even check the transaction log yet, so I don't know why he's up or who went down. I was like, okay, all right, that's how I know. It's like, all right, we're at a point where not that we had Austin Dean starting in left field yesterday, but
who
exactly?
Lewis Brinson hit leadoff last week.
Hey, Lewis Brinson's still hitting leadoff every day for us.
Brinson has been doing good.
After the first 3 days, he's been very bad.
Oh, then never mind.
He's hitting like 187.
I just remember doing a little bit of a write-up for him. I was like, he's been doing good, and then I forgot about him promptly.
He was doing good for quite literally like 4 days. And it was also, I think it was against the Dodgers, so.
Hey, Diego. Who the hell is Luis Gonzalez, and why does he have the 6 late appearances on the Giants?
Luis Gonzalez is good, okay? Luis Gonzalez, one of the only Mexican-born players in Major League Baseball.
OPS.
I will defend Luis Gonzalez to the nail, all right? He went down to the minor leagues for a little bit because he had to fix his swing, but he's one of our better players all year. He's also really good defensively. He's got a cannon for an arm.
Dang, Thario Estrada has 101 OPS plus. That's crazy.
What did you just call it?
Thario Estrada?
Tyro?
Tyro. Oh.
It's Tyro.
Listen, when it's spelled like Mario.
That's fair. No, Tyro Estrada has been very good. The Giants don't have a lot of bright spots, but they did sign Wilmer Flores to a tier extension today.
It's been okay for them.
Did they have anyone on the roster past like 2026 at all?
No.
Like anybody?
Not besides like Logan Webb or like anyone on a rookie deal.
Signed for?
Anyone that's not on a rookie deal, I don't think is on the roster projected past 2025.
Oh wow, so, this is Longoria's last year, except for team option.
He has a team option next year. They'll probably pick it up. But anyway, we don't have to talk about the Giants at all, please. They won last night, but it's because they played the Cubs. They're gonna probably get spanked around the next couple of days.
Hey, JD Davis is good.
He has been solid for us this year since the trade deadline. I think he's been better than Darren Ruff, but I miss Darren Ruff, so either way. Anyway, moving on to the last question. I'm just going to read the question as it was written. So this is our editor's 4 a.m. thoughts. Once upon a time, rapper DaBaby was one of the rising stars in the business. Now, partially after multiple legal troubles and homophobic scandal, the 30-year-old was forced to cancel his New Orleans show after it failed to draw even 500 tickets. Without naming players specifically, can we describe a similar MLB fall-off?
Yes. There's been several players who have been problematic and booted from the league. We can get specific with them if we want. But yes, there has been not enough of them. There are too many abusive men and alcoholic people, DUIs that work for Major League Baseball. But yes, there have been players that have had a rightfully kicked out, and not enough have been.
I don't need to describe anybody. I could just, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. We all know the major one that we're talking about here. And there was someone who was also represented by his agent for a while there, who also had issues and fell off. And there's unnamed Astros and now on other teams players and some closers, and there's several men who should have had that happen to them, but
there's some executives.
Many executives, a lot of them are in Anaheim, and
as like most of them actually up in Anaheim,
and one of them got fired, but not enough.
One is not enough.
No, I think the coach is facing jail time. So there absolutely are. Without naming names, you all know exactly who we're talking about. So
yeah. He should not be named because frankly he doesn't deserve it.
Doesn't deserve the air
recognition of any sort. But that's still, there aren't enough players. There's the guys playing now should not be playing in Major League Baseball.
Hold on, he didn't mean the legal stuff.
No, it's fine.
Not because of legal stuff. Oh, okay. Well then, I mean, Matt Beatty
wants to talk about Alan Craig.
He wants to talk about guys who are just bad now.
All right,
we're really good at the top of their game. Okay.
We already did talk about the Giants.
We did.
We talked about how the Padres DFA'd Matt Beatty.
Was Matt Beatty ever really that good?
Yes, he was part of rookie walk-off weekend.
Brett?
He was fine for a while. That's all I really remember of him.
They called him the hitman. We called him the cheat code for a little while.
He had a lot of clutch at bats, but I would never say he was good.
Wait,
he was clutch. That's
that was
true.
His nickname?
The hitman was his wife, who was precious and deserves to be still Major League herself, had a really great tweet that was talking about how is my husband a cheat code, because he would get clutch at bats and come through very well. Part of that was rookie walk-off weekend where literally walked it off all 3 games against the Rockies, and it was all rookies and it had never been done before, and he was a part of that. He was never great. You're right, Joseph, but he had
moments.
He had moments, and he had clutch moments, which that's an intangible. That's arguably an intangible that's worth something, right?
He's got that dog in him,
But he got traded to the Padres. He did battle injury,
and then picked up on the Padres.
Was it a trade? Maybe it was a DFA. Yeah, it was a DFA. Yeah. He's DFA'd now, so he's DFA'd from the Padres now, and which is a shame. I think he's a good guy, but I don't know that he's a major leaguer. I think somebody will pick him up. I think.
A's.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope he deserves to go to a fun team. I don't know how fun the A's are right now.
The Mariners.
So let me tell y'all about this feller named Bobby Crosby, a guy I'm very very fond of. 2004 rookie of the year. He ate 30 bombs as a very good defensive shortstop. Then completely fell off. Never had another season approach, and what he did in 2004. Had a bunch of injuries. Much more modern example would be Paul DeJong.
I would say Giovanni Soto beat Joey Votto in the Rookie of the Year, and then I never heard anything from him again.
Oh, wait, who won the what was it was like the 2017 or 2016 Rookie of the Year. There was some really weird winner. Hold on.
I'm going to say Bellinger in 2017, Bellinger and Judge, Seager in 2016. Who won in the American League?
I mean,
Yeah.
you could kind of argue that Bellinger's fallen off, but most of that was due
Bellinger
to
has
injury.
fallen off a cliff. What do you mean? He has fallen off.
Michael Fulmer.
Oh!
Michael Fulmer's not. What do you mean? Like, no.
Weren't they going to get like Alex Bregman for him in 2017? Like Bregman was on the table.
Yeah.
No, he beat out Gary Sanchez, Tyler Naquin, Chris Davinsky, just a star-studded real voting right there.
Give it to Chris Davinsky.
I'll say this now. I've said
is
this.
He even in the major leagues right now?
Is he not on the Astros?
I remember him pitching for the Astros, but I don't know if he's in the majors with them right now.
I think Matt Duffy should have won the Rookie of the Year over Chris Bryant. I'm still in that camp. Also, Matt Duffy now plays for the Angels, so that should tell you everything you need to know.
Okay, what about Yasiel Puig over Jose Fernandez? Because that was a big one too.
God, Yasiel Puig being a cover athlete for MLB The Show is still the most one-off talent-wise that we've had in a long time. He was good for a year or two. He was solid for a couple years and then gone. But
I used to be a Puig fan, and then I read an article in the LA Times after the 2017 World Series, and they're like, yeah, everyone was pissed off at Puig because, on the broadcast, there was a play in Game 2 where he dove, it was off his glove, and it was great effort, Puig, and they're like, no, if the idiot read his defensive chart like he was supposed to, he catches that ball without having to dive for it.
So I think your mic's up.
Thank you. I was trying not to cough on you guys. Puig is an interesting case because there has been legal trouble, right? Very credible legal trouble, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's not in Major League Baseball. This is absolutely not excusing things, but he has had an insane journey, and I think again, not to excuse any single thing he's done, but the absolute insanity that he came through to get to here, literally involving cartel people. It's insane. That's more of an indictment on Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
He still made the choices he made. Don't think that's excusing it. But the absolute insanity that happened around him, and he did not get the support that he needed mentally. And that is where things turn. Again, he still made these decisions. Don't get me wrong. I do have a small amount of sympathy for the way things happened, not for his decisions. None for his decisions. I don't know that Major League Baseball could have prevented that, but they certainly could have prevented a lot of the situation that things that happened to him. Again, not excusing his behavior.
I think the worst thing to ever happen to Yasiel Puig was that torrid start he had when he got called up. Because a lot of the thing was, I remember the fan base saying, why isn't Puig on the roster after that incredible spring training he had? And they're like, no, we need to coach him. He needs to be more humble. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things he has to work on. But by necessity, he had to come up. And he lit the world on fire. And you just can't send someone like that down. We were kind of forced at that point to play Puig after everything. And I think if we don't have those injuries, Puig's still probably in the majors because he's a much more humble person and doesn't have that insane ego.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, he still made the decisions that he made, but if things go differently, things go differently, right?
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020.
How about a bit more of a fun one? How about Jeremy Hellickson? Had a 4.5 WAR in 2011, then never again.
Then never. My favorite personally was Brandon Finnegan for the 2015 Kansas City Royals. He was drafted and then brought up for the postseason because they needed a lefty reliever, and then fell off. I think a cliff is an understatement. He was so bad from that point on. I think he was in the Reds minor league system for a while. I think he's out of baseball as a whole now. But he came up as literally drafted that year and then was pitching in the World Series. So it was either 2014 or 2015.
2014, because I remember like watching that World Series, and they're like, Brandon Finnegan's the only person to pitch in both the College World Series and
the Major League Baseball
World Series in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can we just talk about playoff Bumgarner, please? Because I'm sick of hearing about this every time he comes onto the mound. I'd rather hear about Bumgarner, and that's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot. Let's talk about some Mason Saunders.
We do love Mason Saunders, the best alias in Major League Baseball.
Y'all remember Billy Burns?
No.
Billy
Exactly.
Burns.
Former A center fielder back in 2013. He had a 102 OPS in 2015, 2.5 for that season. You want to guess his next highest career OPS plus in a season?
31?
6.
Nope. You were close, Diego. 56.
6. Yeah, that's not great.
He has like 200 career games. 125 of them came in that 2015 season.
You said Billy Burns, and I thought Billy Butler for a second.
Oh, we don't need to talk about him either.
Was it Big Country, or that was
Country Breakfast?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Country Breakfast. So much better than Big Country, but
no, he was big.
True.
Can we get a Players Weekend jersey with Country Breakfast on it?
Yeah,
they need to bring back Player Weekend jerseys so bad. I just want just the dumbest nicknames that are just not like bad, but just like funny, like Country Breakfast. I want a Michael's Hot Wheels Harris jersey. And it wouldn't say hot because we're the only ones that call them that. By we, I mean myself. But it can catch
I need a Cal Rayleigh Big Dumper.
Big
jersey.
Dumper. Oh, I'd be electric.
Ross Stripling,
Nick would buy in that heartbeat.
Chicken Strip, Dick Mountain.
Yeah, there's. I remember back in whenever they were doing Alex Dickerson, they wouldn't let him put Dick on the back of his jersey because that's what everyone calls him, but they let someone else do it, and I was upset about it.
Put Richard on the jersey.
Was it Rich Hill? Was it Dick?
It
Mountain?
was Rich Hill.
No, it was someone. No, they let someone else just put Dick.
Oh,
I'm
just so mad. I'm still angry about that Players Weekend when it was like House Painters versus Pallbearers because that was Yankees versus Dodgers in Dodger Stadium, and they wore like pajamas. It looked awful. I'm still so very bitter about that.
The first ones were good, and the black and white ones were awful.
I don't really remember the first ones.
They were the
first ones were like a light sky blue kind of thing, right?
I mean,
they were like pastel colors.
Yeah,
they were inspired by like Little League World Series kind of thing.
Yeah,
well,
it was better than House Painters versus Pallbearers. It's awful.
They should do the City Edition jerseys, but let the players have their nicknames on the back.
That would be great.
Yeah,
I would love to see. I mean, I'm trying to think of current Giants. Like that would be good. Like I think
Late Night Lamont or
Late Night would be great. It would just say Late Night. Yeah. Like that would be awesome. I'm trying to think of literally anyone else. I'm like, I don't think there's anyone currently that's like got like a super exciting nickname. I mean, Tyler Rogers was like the submarine.
Yeah, Austin Barnes would be the captain. Sorry. I went to. They're talking about. Sorry, submarine. I went submarine arm slot. I saw a guy. I can't remember his name. It was on the Lake Elsinore Storm, which is a Padres A affiliate team. His arm slot was directly like noon to 6.
Josh Collimenter.
No, it was hold on. I have to.
Josh Collimenter is an old Diamondback player that.
No. This guy's like a kid. I haven't seen. It's on my Twitter if you want to see it. It is a 6 to noon arm slot, and it's like
6 to noon.
Noon to 6. So it just
it's like 6 to. That's like it is softball.
Yeah, and no, it is directly over his head. And guy went like 4 innings like that. Like he wasn't a reliever. They are stretching him out to be a starter. I know it's not. Yes.
What was the name?
Jared Kolar.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
And just watching him like made my rotator cuff ache. So I remember watching this kid and I was like, I can't wait to hate him in Petco. Like it was, and they had trouble with him. It was really good pitching. It was really good pitching.
Yeah, because you're not used to the ball coming out from there.
I bet you his fastballs are amazing.
Okay, so let me get my notes. I took notes on this kid. Sorry. So first of all, I wanna say that the radar gun at Lone Mart Field is sketchy at best when it works. But this kid was throwing again, very sketchy, very, very sketchy. 94, 81, 46, 91. So I'm thinking maybe there was some.
One of those numbers is not.
One of those numbers may be off. All of those numbers might be off. And several times it was just off. So again, I remember one time we went and someone like went up to it in the middle of the game and like they switched out 2 AA batteries. So
that's so funny.
Take those numbers with a grain of salt.
Wait, I thought they were a high 18.
Very barely.
They should have at least like a
high A
USB
low tech
cord.
High A low tech, but yeah, so that was really exciting to see. It was a pitcher's duel. Not much happened until unfortunately one of our pitchers did give up a grand slam, but he had beamed one of the players unintentionally, of course, in the head, and it was a nice revenge story for the Storm to come back and get him for 4. So you gotta love a good baseball story. But that kid's arm slot just I wonder how long it lasts. As you've mentioned, there's pitchers who's been in the majors like that. If he can stay healthy and keep that arm slot, I can't wait. He's gonna be trouble. He's gonna be problems.
I'm pretty sure injuries is what got Josh Collins out of the league. So
it's such a weird motion anyway. But he went 4 and he went 4 really well. And I think he gave up 1 solo home run to Fromke, but otherwise minimal traffic, ground balls, very very, very good pitcher. It was interesting to see. So future of the Padres looks bright. Of course, future of the Dodgers looks pretty good too. So
future of the Giants does not look good. But
who's your high A team? I don't know if I've seen them. I've seen the Modesto Nuts.
Wait. Don't say it. Don't say it. No, go ahead. Say it. I can't remember.
I was like, well, we have the San Jose Giants and the Eugene Emeralds.
Ah!
And the what?
I knew I could remember
Eugene Emeralds.
Okay, so we're not in the same league, but okay.
I remembered it was San Jose, but I couldn't remember their name, and now I know why, because it's
just the Giants. Yeah. Their logo is also, it's very similar to like this logo. It's just SJ instead. It also looks really good.
I should have worn my Dodgers pride.
You have the pride. Yeah. It took me a year to get this cap.
Really?
I had to buy it in the ballpark because I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, ours sold out pretty quick. So luckily,
so did ours.
Luckily, I had a friend going to the game. So
yeah, when I went, the last Giants game I went to, I made my family get there an hour before we normally would get there.
Just to make sure you got the hat.
Yeah, well, I bought this jersey that same day because I had to get it. It's a Brandon Belt jersey, and I had to get it customized because, of course, they don't sell Brandon Belt jerseys. And I couldn't find anywhere that I liked enough because I wanted the orange with the belt on the back. So I'm like, I need to get this. And I need to find one of the Pride hats because I can't find them anywhere else. Yeah. It's one of the more exclusive hats in my collection.
It's so good. I keep threatening to get a Justin Turner jersey, and I think this weekend he might have won me over to get a Justin Turner
with his dress up day post.
Well, I was going for the grand slam that he hit off a pitcher who called him not a threat, but there's
also that.
He's a coward for wearing a fake torso when.
So okay, this needs to be explained. This needs to be explained. So that chest is a thing on TikTok, and he's actually his wife and him are active on TikTok. So it was just supposed to be him and Cody Bellinger wearing the fake chest, like that was supposed to be the joke, right? But then, Andre got called up, and so he didn't have a costume. And Joey's got lost, so he didn't have a costume. And Justin had extras, and he was just like, well, damn it. Like,
You're putting us to shame.
But that was the joke, was that it was a fake chest, and it was a funny thing. And then he's like, well, whatever, we're just going to roll with it. And he was like, yeah.
Speaking of the Chippendales.
No, yes.
I saw this interview Justin Turner gave today And he was talking about the whole thing. I think Tommy knows where I'm going with this.
I know
And he was
exactly where
bringing
you're going with this.
And he was bringing up the costume idea to Bellinger, right? And Bellinger's like, cool, Chippendales. And then they're in the cage, and Turner overhears Bellinger. He's like, I don't know why the mice are wearing like collars and stuff. He thought they were talking about the fucking chipmunks.
No, not only baseball.
That's so good.
Oh my god!
And he called them mice.
I think
Protect
Joseph wins
Joey.
this episode for just that
Protect
bit.
Cody Bellinger at all costs.
See, this is why he's on the roster. We need that kind of himbo power.
Anyway, I think that's a good a stopping point as any. It's not going to get better than that. I'm going to be honest with you. It's also been a little bit of a longer episode. Okay.
Oh, I am sweating. I'm laughing so hard. Oh my god.
Lightheaded.
Anyway, if you don't know where to find us, how'd you get here? But if you do know where to find us, or if you want a little reminder, you want to continue to find us online, you can find us at our website at diamond-digest.com, on Twitter at diamond_digest, on Instagram at diamond.digest. Yes, we are very consistent with our online presence. You can also find us on LinkedIn, which is something we've been advertising for some reason. Like LinkedIn, if you want to connect us on LinkedIn, sure, yeah.
I haven't logged into LinkedIn in like 6 years.
Neither have I. But anyway,
but it's good to know you're there.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us for another episode of This Week in Baseball. It was a good one. It went a little long, but I think we ended on a fantastic note. Anyway, thank you for watching. We'll be back with more Sunday Night Watch Parties articles every week. These ideally at least every couple weeks, because we've been a little bit, and by we I mean me, I've been lagging a little bit in remembering to do these. Anyway, yeah, that's it. As always, go baseball. We'll see you guys later.
Baseball.